Well, hi there, Facebook family, YouTube, and Twitter. This is Jacqueline Turnbow, aka Jacqueline Deneen, your partner on purpose, coming to you with the Happy Fit Friday guest spotlight. We are super excited to be here, and you know what? We we have an amazing individual that's going to come, none other than the Joy Coach, Joy Allen. She's got some things for us. She's got some things for us, and we are so excited. So excited. If you had any questions as to what you can do for your wellness so you can have that healthy mental health, because your mental health is just as important as physical health. Here at Happy Fit Friday, we believe in spirit, soul, and body. And so we are excited. We are excited. So before we get started, we are going to send this on out. We're going to share it out. And let's see. I see someone has joined. All right. So we are going to send this out. And if you could do the same, that would be awesome. Let's see. Let's find us. All right. We're going to get there. Yes, I see us. I see us. All right. We're going to get there. Turn this down. And here we are. We're going to send this out. And we have the Joy Coach. She's in the green room. She is ready. She is ready. She is ready. And let's send this out to some groups. We hope you had a blessed, prosperous, and a productive day today. Hopefully you got some me time in. That's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking. It's so important to take time for you, and so you can replenish yourself. And let's see here. All right. Well, it is not giving me my other groups, so it's all good. We're good. We are good. All right. So thank you so much for your patience. And again, we are super excited. Let's see. Hey there. Thank you so much, Tawana. That's you. Okay, I was wondering why it said Happy Fit Friday shared. So you shared. Thank you, because you were my administrator there. Good evening. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you so much for sharing. We so appreciate you. Yes, she is my ride and live sister, okay? Well, again, we are super excited to have the one and only Joy Coach, none other than Joy Allen. And she is a mental health advocate, and she's a 3-time best-selling author. She's and counting. Yeah, because word has it that she's got some other books coming, so we are excited about that. And she's an in I am so excited. I'm so tongue tied. Inspirational speaker and certified life and mental health coach. She studied psychology and Christian counseling at Liberty University. Wow, awesome. And received several certifications as a life coach from Light University and the AACC, American Association of Christian Counselors. As a certified mental health coach and mental health advocate, her aim is to help others who struggle finding peace and joy in their lives due to lack of self-care and self-love, self-limiting beliefs, low self-esteem, self-doubt, depression, anxiety, abusive and toxic relationships, and etc. Joy's mission is to empower others, especially women, to live their best authentic lives and be true to who God has called them to be and help them to realize how important they are and that they were fearfully and wonderfully made. I totally agree. She is also president of Persevere Aviation Reserve, which is a private jet company that focuses on private jet charter, luxury travel, including accommodations, black car service, food tours, and offering a personalized, curated experience for each client. Joy also runs a weekly room in her club on Clubhouse called the Joy Club, of course, which is usually on Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and has her books as well as a new inspirational line available on her website at thejoycoach.com. And we'll be giving you that information later on in the broadcast. Joy can also be reached for speaking engagements, hosting, immersing, and coaching services at the Joy Coach 247 at gmail.com. And so we'll also be giving you that information as well. So let me introduce to some and present to others, not only than the one and only Joy Coach, Joy Allen. How are you, beautiful? You have to unmute. How's it going?
Hello. It's going great, going great. How are you?
Good, good, good. We are just super excited to have you here tonight. You just don't realize. Oh my goodness.
Well, I'm
We
excited to
um
be here.
we were so impressed with you, Joy, before we get
Oh,
started, because I know we have some things to cover, but I just recently met the Joy Coach. And when I say her parents knew what to name her, she is just full of joy, so positive. She just lights up the room wherever she goes. And I knew my Happy Fit Friday family could benefit from having her here and just sharing with us. It's so crucial that we know how to take care of ourselves, have that wellness piece. We believe in spirit, soul, and body, so we need to take care of our mental health. And Joy, she is the go to. Okay, the Joy Coach is the go to let us know how we can do that. So Joy, how are you this evening?
I am doing great. I am doing great. I'm so happy to be here. So I just want to thank you for having me on the show. So
Absolutely.
it's a pleasure to be here today.
Yes. So Joy, we read your amazing bio. Okay, very impressive, very impressive.
Thank you.
But what prompted you to really focus on individuals, caring for themselves. And so, why do you think it's important? We're just going to go off the top to be mindful of your mental health.
Yes, absolutely. So it's very important for us to make sure that we're being aware and taking care of our mental health. Unfortunately, a lot of people tend to neglect their mental health, and they usually just focus on the physical health, if any health at all. And so the mental health gets neglected. And a lot of people think that it's not really a big deal. It's just something that they can just deal with, or they can just let it be, and they'll get over whatever issues that they're having. And unfortunately, that does lead to a lot of issues. So one thing that I try to stress is we need to make our mental health a priority, just like we do our physical health, because it is equally important.
Absolutely. Well, Joy, I know you have some major things that you want to share with us, and we're just going to give you the floor, and then we're going to come back. We have some questions, and definitely our viewing audience, if you have some questions, comments, please, please, please post them. Let us know. We have some folks before we get started. We have Tawana Carlton. She says, welcome. And we have Shonda Howerton. Thank you so much. She said, woohoo!
Girl.
You must be part of your tribe. Yay!
Yes,
Thank you for coming on in. And Tawana says the private jet service. Yes.
yes. Get in touch if you need to get on a private jet. You don't have to be rich to fly private and to live a luxury lifestyle, or to get a taste of a luxury lifestyle. So just hit me up if you're interested in that, and we'll get you taken care of.
Awesome. You know what? We're gonna have to squeeze
That's the
that
part of
in because
self-care too, okay?
okay, that's what I was just gonna say. Okay, I'm gonna let you have the floor so we can discuss about that, because I know you're gonna give us some juicy tips and information and just transforming message. So take it away, Joy Code.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So first of all, it's an honor and pleasure to be here. And as I was already introduced, I am Joy Allen, the Joy Coach. So my thing is I am very passionate about mental health. Mental health is my passion. It's something that I went to school to study. And I have a long history with dealing with mental health. The thing that got me so passionate about it is, most of you, a lot of you, some of you may know my story already. So I grew up with a mother who was dealing with mental health issues. And so growing up in a house when you're dealing with a mother who's struggling with mental illness, you really don't know that much about it as a child. And then so when I got older, I started developing my own issues, my own mental health issues with depression and anxiety. And so that led to me just not really having, the self-love, the self-worth and everything, and not taking care of myself like I should. So as I got older, and it honestly wasn't until recently that I actually learned about self-love and self-care. And so I started to implement that in my own life. What led to that was I went through my whole life just taking care of everyone else. If you are a caretaker or a people pleaser, or anything like that, you probably can understand how sometimes you will be concerned with everyone else. I was taking care of my family, taking care of my friends, and serving in the community at my church and things like that, and just pretty much everywhere. And one of the main things I forgot to do was make sure that I was okay. I wasn't taking care of myself. And so in that process, I began to, not only did I start to develop, the mental issues as far as the depression, started to kind of sink back in, and anxiety and those types of things. And I would just become overwhelmed with stress, and you get burnout and everything. So there's a lot of reasons why we need to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. And so the other thing that, once I finally, continue to deal with the depression and anxiety, that stuff, the stress and all of these things can actually affect you physically as well. So that's one reason why it's also important to take your mental health seriously, is because your mental health can also affect your physical health. So there are times when we may think, well, it's just mental, I'll get over it, or maybe I just need some rest or take a nap or whatever. And we may just not take it really seriously. And we do need to take our mental health seriously because it can lead to other issues. So, and that's what happened to me. It ended up affecting my health. I ended up getting sick, and it just kind of spiraled downhill from there. So after getting the wake up call years later, after I was, going through the depression, anxiety, so having the mental and the physical issues, I had to really kind of take a look at myself and just kind of see like what's going on, what do I need to do, and I had to just realize that it's time for me to just, take care of myself and do what I need to do to make sure that I'm going to be okay. And one of the main things that we need to focus on when it comes to self care is, if we're taking care of everyone else, we need to make sure that we're okay. And we probably all heard the saying, so we're sitting here pouring and pouring and pouring, into other people, but we need to make sure that our own cup is full so that we can be able to continue to pour into others. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't pour if you're depleted. So you have to make sure as you're pouring into others that you take a moment to stop and replenish and refill yourself so that you're good to take care of other people. So that's one of the things that we need to make sure that we're doing at all times is taking care of us first so that we can be able to take care of other people. So one of the things that I want to also say is just like when you get on an airplane, I'm sure most of us have flown on an airplane before. So what did they tell you when you get on an airplane? The first thing they tell you is if anything happens and you start to lose cabin pressure or anything and the oxygen masks come down, make sure that you secure your own masks first before you go on to proceed to try to help someone else. You can't help someone else if you aren't secure yourself. So make sure that you're securing your own mask before you go on to try to help other people. It's the same thing with self care. We need to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, that we're good, that our mental health and our physical health is good before we can go on and try to assist other people. And that way, you're doing it from a full cup and not an empty cup. And you're being able to do it to the best of your ability. So that is one of the reasons why self-care is so important. It is something not only that I'm passionate about, it's something that is a must. It's something that is necessary for us to be able to have a functional life and be able to have a peaceful life and a life that we want. I'm striving for a life full of joy. And that's what I try to coach people as well and teach people. If you want a full life, you want to live a fulfilled life and a life of joy, then you need to make sure that it starts with you and you're taking care of yourself.
Wow, that is amazing. Now that I've heard that before, but I don't think we can hear it enough. I love the analogy that you gave when you're on an airplane. They tell you you have to put the mask on yourself before you
Exactly.
can help someone else. And too many times, we are guilty of just doing, just like Tawana Carlton. I'm going to post it again. She said, I could raise my hand for taking care of others and not myself. So that's one of the questions that I wanted to ask. Let me find it here.
Mhm.
As entrepreneurs, how can we balance our businesses and personal life while being conscious of our mental health?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because that's something that I've been dealing with recently myself as well. So, as entrepreneurs or business people, mothers, anyone who's busy in their lives, they need to make sure that they do have balance. One of the ways that you can make sure that you have balance is by setting boundaries. Setting boundaries,
Mhm.
and this is something that I'm like really, really learning more about recently because I had no boundaries. And
Mhm.
it led to the other B word, burnout. And so if
Mhm.
you don't have boundaries, then it's going to lead to burnout eventually. So, and that's another thing at the Joy Club. We have been talking about boundaries. And last week we had a couple of weeks ago, we had our first session for boundaries. And this Sunday we will be having part two. It's going to be a phenomenal conversation. Everyone is excited about it and they loved it and they're excited about part two. So if you aren't on Clubhouse, get on Clubhouse. It's just a free app you can download and then go to the Joy Club 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We will be having Boundaries Part 2. So yes, that is the number one thing that you can do is make sure that you're setting boundaries. When you set boundaries in your life, it basically helps you to balance things out, helps you to keep things in order. It stops allowing yourself and other people to run over you and have you become overloaded. It kind of helps keep things in perspective. So that would be the number one thing or one number one piece of advice I would offer is to make sure you're setting your boundaries in place and stick to them. And also because boundaries are so important, God put it on my heart to do a challenge on boundaries. So Monday, I will be starting a 30-day challenge on boundaries so that it can help
Wow.
people, and it will be free of charge. It to help people get their boundaries in life, get their boundaries in order, and to help put some kind of perspective and order in their lives. So if you are interested in that, you can DM me or email me for the information with that. And we'll also be announcing that and talking more about that on Sunday night at the Joy Club as well.
Now that's good. You said you told us that we need to learn how to set boundaries
Yes.
or we're going to be burned out. I totally agree with that. And I believe is it well, I don't want to misquote it, but I've heard the saying that we teach people how to treat us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's why we need to put those boundaries. I'm so happy that you said that because I struggled with that for years,
Hmm.
and it wasn't until recently, the past few years, I am starting to set some boundaries. I know when to say no. Do you believe that no is a complete
Oh
sentence?
my goodness, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. And I just learned that. And to be honest with you, I thought that word was, I looked at that word like a bad word for a long time. And I couldn't say the N word. I could not say the N word. It's only 2 letters, N-O. No is a complete sentence. And honestly, I'm just learning that this year. Like, okay, that's all you have to say is no. Because when you're a people pleaser and you strive on trying to make people feel good and not hurting anyone and just keeping people happy, I'm joy for God's sake. I don't want to make anybody sad, but it's like you go through your life and trying to please everyone and make everyone happy. So saying no to you would be like a bad word. You would feel so guilty for saying
Right,
no to people. And that's the thing. It's like when you're saying no to someone, it's not like, it's the end of the world. It's okay. You can do it without guilt, you know.
right.
And I've even started reading a book that's, The Art of Saying No.
Oh, see, look, okay. We did not plan that, okay? We did
The
not
Art of
plan
Saying
that.
No. Yes, I'm like just sitting here like this is one of my books, and it's so important to just have those boundaries for
Right.
yourself. You have to make sure you're protecting yourself. And honestly, it's not hurting anyone else. By saying no, you're not taking away from anyone else because if they
Absolutely.
really care about you and they'll respect your boundaries, they'll respect you for saying no. And then back to where you said, I so truly believe we treat people how to, we teach people how to treat us.
Yes,
So when we allow people to like cross the lines and run over us, then they're gonna do it. But if we
absolutely.
set some boundaries and say, no, I can't do this, this is not something that's a part of my plan, or this isn't gonna work for me, then if they are, care about you anyway, they're gonna respect your boundaries and they're just gonna leave it
Absolutely.
at that and like, okay, they'll respect you for it. In the end, they'll respect you for it. And I've had that happen to me. Sometimes I've had to, people across the line, whatever, I've had to like to say, no, that's not something that I'm going to do or whatever. And they'll respect you for it in the long run. So I would definitely make sure that, we're practicing those boundaries. And believe me, it's okay to say no. And no is a complete sentence. I totally agree.
Awesome. Okay, so we're still on the business entrepreneur piece here. So we have another question. So why do you think business owners feel guilty about taking time to relax and just getting recharged? And I'm going to let you Marinate on that for a few seconds, and then we'll just give you the floor because we really want to hit home on that question because I'm guilty. I am so guilty of just pushing, pushing, moving, moving, driving. We got to get this, we got to grind. You know how they say you got to grind. But we
Mhm.
need some time to recharge, just rejuvenated. So I'm going to let you speak to that.
Absolutely. So yeah, so it is definitely important, as we're building our businesses, as we're working our jobs, our careers, taking care of our families, whatever we're doing in life, we need to make sure that we stop and take the time to take care of ourselves, to pour back into ourselves without feeling guilty. It's okay to stop and take a break when you need one. And it's something that I've learned the last couple of years because honestly, I went so long, just I would feel guilty if I were to, do something for myself, if I were to take a vacation or take a break or whatever. And, this past couple of years, I think I've been doing more traveling than I've done in my life. And because sometimes, I would get overwhelmed or I would get like, if I feel like I'm getting burned out, if I'm getting stressed out or just dealing with too much. And a lot of times I even deal with the seasonal depression, because I live in Ohio where it's cold and the weather's not the best weather. And so sometimes, the weather, it can start becoming overbearing, especially if you're already dealing with issues, physical or mental issues. It can become a lot sometimes. So sometimes I will just go, and if I can, have the ability to get on the plane and go someplace warm for a little bit and just kind of take a little break and get away, and you have and recharge. And for me, it's about my mental and physical health because they go hand in hand. They both, affect each other. And so it's important, you need to understand it's not good to feel guilty, and you shouldn't feel guilty for doing that because it is something that is necessary in order for you to be able to be complete, for you to be healthy, for you to be able to have everything that you need. Because you can't, just like if you use a device, say you use a flashlight, or let's say cell phone, because everybody's using cell phones these days. So if anybody even remembers what a flashlight is anymore. But if you have a cell phone and you're on that cell phone and you're talking on that cell phone all the time and you just keep staying on that cell phone, eventually it's going to run out of juice. The battery's eventually going to die. What do you have to do? If you want to use it, you're going to have to charge it back up. And if you don't put that cell phone on the charger, then it's not going to work. Well, we need to look at our lives the same way. If we don't recharge, if we don't stop and recharge ourselves, we're going to run out of juice. And we're not going to be able to continue to keep going and going and going. So take care of yourself without feeling guilty. Stop, get the time that you need. If you can't go out of town and take a little break on a vacation or whatever, on the weekend, I know when my kids were younger, I would do, before I started traveling a lot, I would do staycations. Like I was the queen of staycations. I would go and we would, pack them up. We'd go get a hotel room for the weekend and just go swimming or just chill out and just, get away, away for the weekend, which, just out of the house, just a change of scenery. And it kind of helps, just, replenish your mind and recharge and refuel. So it's okay to do that without feeling guilty because you want to be able to perform at your best. You know, I know in other countries that they don't do it a lot here in America, but I know in some countries they do have like extended vacation time, they have extended lunch hours and everything because they know the importance of a person being able to be recharged and refueled. Well, that's what we need to make sure that we're doing. Even here in America, we need to make sure that we're taking the time that we need to replenish ourselves, to refuel ourselves so that we can be the best that we can be. We're not going to be able to perform, at 50%, at 30%, just like that cell phone. It's not going to work at its best if it doesn't get charged. So we need to remember that. So anytime you feel guilty about taking a break, about not, about walking away for a minute or just getting away, whatever, just think about that. Think about the cell phone and think about how often you have to charge your cell phone. and just let that be a little, lesson to you, or reminder to you that, okay, I'm human, so yes, I need to be recharged as well, just like my devices do. And it's okay to do that without feeling guilty. You have nothing to feel guilty about. We're only human. We're not God, so we need to take a break. And honestly, if we're going to go there, even Jesus went to sleep. Even Jesus took a break. He rested. Remember back on that boat when all things were going crazy and everything, and there was this huge storm. He was over there sleeping hard. He was sleeping really good. And the disciples had to wake him up. So if Jesus can get his rest and take a break, then what makes us, dear mortals, think that we can't take a break as well? After all, we're only human and we require rest. And that is very crucial and very important. So remember that you can do that without feeling guilty.
Wow. Woo! I'm telling you, you are bringing it this evening. You are bringing it. So we have, everyone is super excited. And let's put some comments up here. Let's see. Hey there, Mary Dryer or Dyers. Thank you so much. Hello, hello. Thank you for coming on in. And Tawana, she's giving you some hand claps. And Sandra, she said boundaries. Let's see. Oh, she said, thank you for sharing your story, Joy Coach. So, yes, absolutely. And she said, boundaries or burnout. We choose.
That's right.
It is a choice.
It
It
is.
is a choice. We have no one to blame but ourselves. So,
Amen.
absolutely. And she said, yes. And Tawali said, hashtag burnout. And then she says, hashtag recharge.
Yes,
So that is crucial.
it is.
And I was just doing some research for one of my workshops. And I found that 84% of business owners spend well above 40 hours per week, and 1 in 10 feel constantly overwhelmed by their workload. So if you're out there and you are putting too many hours in and not, getting some time to get recharged, you just heard it from the Joy Coach. She laid it out. I love you said you shared you did share your story, and you said there's times when you were depressed because of, we're here in Ohio when it's winter and you're shut in, it's too cold to really do anything. And I've had my mother-in-law said the same thing. She finds that in the winter months, her energy is just depleted,
Yeah.
and she's not motivated to do anything. So, but you also pointed out that mental health and physical health, they go hand in hand. And so we totally agree with that, because we say that often. And you're just confirming so many things. And the fact that you said you would take your children on a staycation, I think that's a must.
It is.
That should be a part of our routine. It should be a routine. Do you believe it's power in a routine?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
how, just speak on that just a little bit. Having a routine, how can that help in our mental health if we have a positive routine, something that we do to help us, to release stress and all that.
Yeah, well, that definitely helps a lot because, and even having like a morning routine, I've heard people who have a morning routine are probably, I think it's 75 to 80% more effective than people who don't have a morning routine. So just having a routine, it basically puts order in our minds. And a lot of times, just like clutter, you can't really function well in a cluttered environment. And so it does something to you mentally, and it kind of puts things like in array and everything, or disarray. And so with a routine, it kind of helps you mentally to be able to stay focused and to be able to just have things a little bit more clear in your mind, to where you feel a little bit more at peace, because you have things planned out, You have something that you know what you're going to do, and you're not kind of like all over the place. So
I agree. I
basically puts
agree.
a lot of structure and order in your life, having that routine.
Awesome. Well, I know there was a topic that I wanted to cover, and with all the preparation and all that, I did not share that with you. But total transparency, right now, my family, we suffered a tragic loss, and I was just wondering if you could just for a few moments just speak to what role does wellness play, getting recharged and just regrouping and just spending some time to maybe just put your head around something that you're going through, if it's something challenging like losing a loved one, or it may be losing a job or losing a relationship. How does wellness and self-care, how does that um, play in the grieving process?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, first of all, I'm sorry for your loss. My condolences and prayers to you and your family. I understand that that definitely, is a difficult situation, a difficult time. Um, I know a lot of people have been experiencing that, especially, the last couple of years. I personally have had about 4 deaths in the family since 2020, in just the last couple of years. So yeah, it is something that's very, you know, can be pretty difficult for the family and for people who are dealing with that. So one of the things, there are several stages to grief. There's about 5 to 7 stages of grief, and so the first stage, I'm not going to touch on each of them, but the first stage is denial, and sometimes, and because we're in shock, we're still trying to understand what happened or process what happened. And we're trying to, understand it. And a lot of times, it's something that we're just in denial about and we can't accept, you know. Um, a lot of times we, will blame, there'll be the anger. That's another stage. We'll feel angry. We'll blame someone. We might even blame God, for taking a person or whatever. And so we'll, just go through a lot of these different feelings and emotions. And we have to like really process all of these things internally. And so the best thing to do, the first thing I would just recommend is it's okay to be in your feelings, to allow yourself to feel your emotions. Don't try to keep it all wrapped up and bottled up inside, because that's not healthy and it won't allow you to heal. So you want to make sure that whatever you're feeling, allow yourself to feel it. It's okay. It's okay. It's a normal process. And that's another thing. Grief is a process. It's not something that's gonna, you can get over automatically. It takes time. And so allow yourself that time to heal. Allow yourself the time to feel what you're feeling. And don't apologize for feeling a certain type of way, because it's a normal thing. We all process things differently, and take the time that you need to grieve. That's another thing. Just take the time that you need to grieve, and don't put a time limit or on yourself. So it's different for everyone. Some people can get over losses very quickly. Some people it takes a lot longer, you know. So just allow yourself the time that you need to completely grieve, and then once you learn to, or get to a stage where you're accepting it, because acceptance is one of the later stages, then you're able to move on. And but you still have the memories of that person, so you want to make sure that you think about, you cherish the moments, you cherish the memories that you had with that person. You'll always have that. So you can hold on to the good things, hold on to those good times. And whenever you're feeling moments of sadness and you're feeling moments that are pretty rough, just think about the good times that you had with that person, and know that, hey, well, those memories will always be with me, and I'll always be able to hold on to those memories. So just cherish those moments, and that usually will help you get through it. So if you are having a hard time, if there are moments where you're feeling sad or you're feeling, really like you're having a really hard time, make sure you talk to someone. Find someone you can talk to, whether it's a family member or close friend, someone who is understanding. You can talk to them. And if you feel like that's not working, then reach out to a grief counselor or a therapist or a minister, someone who, can help give you the professional help that you need so that you can get through this. Another thing, there are support groups that are available. So there are people who are going through the same thing that you're going through. Say if you had a loved one that specifically died from cancer or something, for an example, there are specific support groups out there of loved ones who are, who've lost people to cancer. So just whatever works for you or whatever fits your particular situation, you can get the support and the help that you need. So I know for me, it took a lot of, just, support and support from my family and a lot of prayer. I have a close relationship with God, so that is my go-to. I definitely go to God, and I spend time in prayer and, meditation and just talking to God sometimes. Sometimes I know one of the biggest losses I had was my mom. And that was, a pretty tough one just due to the fact that I pretty much took care of her when she was dying. And so it was a long, hard 6 weeks that that I literally watched her die. And so that process, although God, I really felt God's protection, He shielded me over that because I took care of her every day. And her body, it was just a really bad situation where her body was basically deteriorating. And so to see her in that condition, it was really tough. And so, but one of the things, just God kept me through. He, I prayed every day, and He got me through that. But that was one of the most difficult ones. But sometimes what you can do as well, um, I know for, some of my family members, we've had some losses, and what, I know my aunt does, for she lost two of her children. And, what we do is every year they'll celebrate their birthdays, and they'll all come together with, the family and their friends, and they'll celebrate their birthday. And that's a good way to keep their memory alive. And it's also a good way to, get together and feel, you kind of feel like that person is still with you because you're celebrating their life, and you're remembering, you're talking about the times that you had. So that's another thing. You can just do something to honor their memory. Um, some people may set up like a memorial fund or something, or put something in their name to keep their memory alive. So there are a multitude of things that you can do to honor that person, to honor your loved one who's passed. And whether it's a relationship as well, whatever the situation may be, there are different things that you can do to just make sure that you're okay, and to help the people that are left behind. And so, also, one of the a good scripture I would recommend for your family as well is Psalms 23. That's a good scripture that kind of brings a lot of comfort as well. And so, I would just kind of meditate on that as well, and that will also be something that can help. But I definitely pray for peace and everything and comfort for your family, and I hope that that helps them.
Yes, it does. And I'll be sharing this with, we have a family group, so I definitely will be sharing this. And thank you so much for those points. Some of the takeaways, denial. I'm not to spend too much more time on this, but me and some other family members, we were in complete denial because, you know, my great nephew, his life was taken from him. It wasn't, because of illness, or it was an accident. So that is so true. We have to be conscious of that. And so we have to get past that at some point. And we definitely don't need to keep it inside. And you said, take the time to grieve, acceptance at some point. We do need to get there, cherish the moments. And we've been doing that. I was, again, total transparency. I was reluctant about getting on social media, promoting anything, doing anything after we got the news. But we know BJ. He would have his beautiful. He was a, as they say, beautiful soul. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he's just a sweet young man. He was only 16. He would always smile, and I could just hear him say, "Aunt Jackie, no, you'll be okay. Go ahead. It's all right." You know, so here we are. But thank you so much, and definitely, I was thinking about. Uh, that would be awesome if we can do something in his memory and his
Mm-hmm.
former school. His, I believe, is the middle school that he went to. I think in Sherwood. Shout out to Sherwood. They have a garden, a peace garden, and he helped put it together. And they have a stone in his memory with his
Oh,
name on it.
that's
So
awesome.
yeah, that was, you hit it spot on. And so we definitely will be sharing Psalm 23.
Yeah.
You know, amen. We
Amen.
will do that because we are faith based as well,
Yeah.
and we believe in the word of God.
Mm-hmm.
That he's a keeper. He will keep us when we want to scream, you know,
Mm-hmm.
go off the deep end. He would reel us in no matter what the situation is. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
And you just been just a wealth of information tonight. And yeah, Psalm 23. Amen. So we're going to move on. We're about to wrap things up. I don't want to let you go.
I
Oh,
know, I know. I feel like we just started.
I know. So, but thank you for speaking on that. I'll just go ahead. We have a few more questions, so I'll just go ahead and now I'm going to have you speak on this.
Sure.
Now, individuals. Now, this is not me. I'm not an extrovert, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But I know there's some extroverts out there. So, why should extroverts, I can't say we because I'm not,
Mm-hmm.
spend some time alone and regroup? Although they are charged and they really feel that they have to have people around them. That, you know, because they have that energy and that's what they thrive on. But what do you think about that? Do you think though at some point everyone, extrovert, introvert, whatever, believer, non-believer, do we need some time to set aside and just, you know, some quiet time and regroup? What do you think about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like regardless of whether you're extrovert, introvert, whatever, ambivert, whatever you are, everybody needs some time to regroup. Everyone needs to take some time to themselves, because that's how we kind of can hear and clear our thoughts. When we're so busy being busy as we all are, and then being around a lot of people all the time, it's like you can't really take the time to just focus and really be within yourself and have your thoughts be clear. So in order to just take the time to just clear your head and be able to focus and get refocused, you need to just take a minute, just step back and take a minute, take a
Yeah,
minute to yourself. It's okay to be alone for a minute. You're not gonna, it's not gonna be the end of the world, especially if
right.
you're extroverted. I know COVID must have been hard on some folks if y'all were extroverts. It must have been really hard because being, confined, and everything. But I know there were a lot of people through that situation when they had to get confined and, it did them a lot of good. A lot of people actually learned some things about themselves. And I think as an extrovert or, whoever you may be, having that time to yourself, and spending that time with yourself, you'll end up learning more about yourself. You'll end up even loving more on yourself. And that's a good thing. You want to make sure that it's, we get so busy doing everything else, just stop and take a moment to just be by yourself for a moment, because there may be some things that you may learn about yourself that you wouldn't in the hustle and bustle of everything with everyone around. So I think I'm not an extrovert, but that's just my opinion.
That's good. That's good. Now, I can be when I have to be, but no, truly, that is not me. So, this next question is for us introverts. Why should we make a practice to interact with people? Now, yeah. I I'm gonna soak this in. So what do you
Well,
think?
that's a good one. And I can't speak on this because I am an introvert, and I
I don't
feel
believe that. I don't believe it, Joy. I don't,
I
Joy
am
Coach.
so an introvert. I
Oh
like I
wow.
literally I'm like and I'm shy and I'm quiet, and it's funny because some people don't believe that, and even my kids don't believe that, and they know me. you know,
Right.
Mom, I see you talk to people all the time and you're like all out there and all that stuff. But I'm like, no, like I'm a true introvert. But it's like I feel because of the calling of my life, I've been forced into the forefront where I can't help but be open to people and talk to people because it's what I'm called to do. So I can't just, stay in my introverted ways. And to be honest, if I'm being transparent, it wasn't until this past year or two, probably the last year and a half to 2 years, that I've actually started coming out of my shell and speaking and getting, and even hearing my voice and opening up my mouth because I was just, dealing with fear so much. I was just dealing with such, you know, fear and just being introverted to a point where I didn't really, want to be around people or talk to people a lot. I would always kind of be that person hiding back in a corner or in the shadows or behind the scenes. And now God has pushed me to the forefront. He's been calling me out for a long time,
Yes.
and I've been running for a long time.
You're in good company, sis.
I've been
You
running
are
for
in
a long
good
time,
company.
and it's so funny because God has called me to write this book, and I'm so good. It's gonna be. I know that's gonna be a bestseller because there's so many people who relate, and I'm gonna make it an anthology because there's a lot of people who have gone through the same experience. So I'll get to that later, but to answer the question, why should we make it a practice to interact with people as an introvert? Is because we all need people. We all need to
Yeah.
be around people and with people, as because we weren't designed to just be alone and to be by
True.
ourselves. We were
True.
designed so that we can, to fellowship with other people, to be around other people. And it helps. There's something that it does like I was just listening to something today by Caroline Leaf, who's one of my,
Oh
favorites.
yes. Oh
I
my
love her.
goodness. Yes. Oh my
I
God.
want to read this to you because it was so
Sure.
powerful, and it really stood out to me, and I was just like, wow, I just, I didn't know any of this stuff, but it's really powerful to show you why it is, we're not supposed to be alone. And so when I was reading this, I was like, I couldn't believe that it was like that big of a deal. Let me get to that really quick. So she's talking about the secret to happiness. And so she was saying we need to connect more with people than we do Wi-Fi. And we're all
Yes.
guilty of that, being on our phones all the
Yes.
time. And that's
Mhm.
another thing. When you go out to places, whether you're at a doctor's office or someplace, where people or restaurant or whatever, we used to back maybe 10, 20 years ago, we would see people actually interacting.
Right.
And now when you go out to places, what do you see people doing?
Mhm.
You see
Mhm.
people doing this. You see people connected to their phones. And
Absolutely.
so that is one of the things that's we've lost human connection because
Right.
we're so and I'm guilty too. And I know my daughter gets on me
Yeah.
about it. She's like, Mom, you're on your phone more than I am. I'm guilty. I'm guilty too. So that's
Yeah.
something I'm working on as well. So she said we need to connect more with people than we do Wi-Fi. We are not wired or designed to be alone. Loneliness makes us depressed and unhappy. When people are alone, their cortisol levels rise. And when this happens, it causes the body to go into inflammation, low grade
Wow.
inflammation, which can affect your heart, your immune system, and make you sick.
Ooh.
Isolation literally makes you sick. It also
Oh
receives
my
the
God.
blood flow to the front of the brain about 80%. So if we do not connect with others, we lose our focus. We become focused on our own issues, which can raise the cortisol levels even higher and cause other issues in the body. So talking to someone you trust and expressing your feelings and talking can help heal your mind and your body. And that also helps raise your serotonin and dopamine, which is, the sense and feelings of happiness.
Right.
So when I was like, wow, I really didn't realize what an impact that can have on people. But when you think about it, if you see people who are alone or just isolated, it really does bring them down a lot of times.
Right.
It's important to have some type of interaction with other people, especially positive people, uplifting people who can uplift you and keep you going and everything. So that human interaction is important. So one thing I'm just gonna advise all of us, I'm gonna challenge all of us. Let's try, like the next time we go out somewhere, if we're in a waiting room somewhere, if we're out in public somewhere, let's try to put our phones down and just interact with someone. Let's try that,
Awesome.
because that would probably, because you never know, that person may not have had any interaction with anyone in a long time, and you may not know what that smile or that hello will do to another person. So we can all spread a little bit of joy in people's lives,
Yes.
saying hello just by a smile. So, it goes a long way. So interaction is very important. So even if you're an introvert, I definitely challenge you, introvert brothers and sisters.
Yes.
Let's just put it down. Don't hide behind your device. Just put it down, put your device down, and actually interact with someone. Just a simple smile and hello. That's all I'm
That's
asking.
good.
Just that little bit of thing can go a long way. So I just want to challenge you guys to do that the next time you're out in public.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. I totally agree. And so does we have let me get the banners up here. I got all excited. We have Joyce Black, and she said yes. She totally agrees, and so do I. So we have just a few more things that we want to touch base on, and then we'll just find out how people can get in contact with you, what you have going on, and all that. So I'm going to give you two. Let's see, two questions, and then I'm just going to give you the floor, and you just give your last remarks, that you really, some things that you want us to hone in on. But before we do that, I had a conversation with my son. He's a minister of the gospel, and he was just sharing the importance that we need to not so focus on so much as ourselves being the ones that make us settle ourselves down. Many times we really do need to rely on the rest of God, resting in God and Him giving us direction. You've already shared that. If prayerfully those that are believers that really trust in the fact that God, He knows what it's going to take to calm us down, to relieve the stresses of life, giving us direction. So this scripture came to mind. For the one who has once entered his rest has also rested from the weariness and pain of his human labors, just as God rested from those labors uniquely his own. And that's Hebrews 4:10 from the Amplified. So, yes, we do need to be conscious of taking care of ourselves, making sure we get that wellness in, but we also need to know that God promised us rest. We can rest in Him. Talking to the grieving process, that we've hit on that, being entrepreneurs, being introverted, extroverted, just the cares of this life. We do need to enter into the rest of God, because He can replenish and renew and recharge us. So we as believers, we have to keep that to the forefront. We can easily give in to the narrative of the day and just focus. I always say, because that I don't use that term self-care loosely, because it can have a negative connotation to it. Just some people can just really be so you know, into themselves, that they don't care about others, or they're not sensitive to really what their purpose is. And so that's why I just wanted to point out that scripture that, we need to enter into his rest. And if you don't know the Lord Jesus Christ as your savior, we're believers here. So I know I'm not offending Joy at all.
Not at all.
Just open your heart today and say yes to him. If you're stressing out, if you're grieving, or it may be a good stress. Do you agree, Joy, that there's good stress?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We need some stress. There is some healthy stress, and we need some stress to keep us going, so there is
Yeah,
a certain amount of stress that we need, that can kind of help push us, in the direction that we need to go. So, yes, all stress isn't bad stress. So, yes, I do agree with that. There is a healthy
absolutely.
stress.
So, yes, we just wanted to point that out. So, the questions that we will present to you, and then we're going to give you the floor, and then we're going to wrap it up.
All right.
What does wellness, what does a wellness day look like to you? And then also, how can we get past the stigma of mental health? When you talk about mental health, that negative, stereotype. Our mental health is important. It's so important. So just give us a few takeaways, and we are over the time. I always say, okay, I'm gonna at the top of the hour, I'm gonna wrap it. But I've enjoyed our conversation, so I
Yes,
am going to be quiet, give you the floor, and then you can just let everyone know how to reach you, what you have going on. And again, we so appreciate you, Joy. You are just amazing. So take it away.
thank you. So, absolutely. So, a wellness day for me, ideally, it would be a spa day, but honestly, I really don't do like a lot of spa days. For me, if I'm like a realistic wellness day, if I'm not, traveling or whatever, I would actually just have some time where I'm resting because I don't really get as much sleep as I need sometimes. A lot of us sometimes don't really rest like we need to. So I will definitely make sure that I'm getting enough rest. I also, if I can get, one of the things I love to do, exercise is really important. I'm not a gym person, I will admit, but I do believe in exercise. So my favorite thing to do is to go for a walk in the park. I love when it's nice outside, being out in nature and just going out. That really it calms me mentally. So I'm getting the mental and physical benefits when I'm out in nature. And if you check my Instagram and all that stuff, you'll see like I do a lot of like health and wellness videos to where I'm out walking and I'll do like little videos as I'm out in nature and at various places as well. So that for me is one of the good things I like to do. At the end of the day, I'm really obsessed with just taking a nice hot bubble bath. I mean, it's a bubble bath for me. I like it helps me relax, and especially with my body being sore sometimes and stuff. I will throw my Epsom salt in there, throw my bubbles in there, and I will get in there. I'll listen to either something inspirational, my gospel music, or maybe a sermon or something, or something uplifting, and that's going to be peaceful and calm and relax me. So I'll do that for maybe 20 minutes to a half hour, and that's my time. So that's my time that nobody can have. And that's my boundary. So it's like, okay, my bubble bath time, like I don't take my phone in there. It's just my iPad where I can't get any calls and I'm playing my music, playing my sermons or whatever, and having that time with me and the Lord and my bubbles. So that's a wellness day for me on a typical day. So a lot of times as well, if I can, I will travel. I love to travel, and I'm trying to do more traveling in the future as well. So that would be, just me, going out. And if I travel, a couple of weeks ago, I just came back from Florida, visiting the family and everything. So, going to the beach, going to the pier, just, spending time with family. So all of that is, things that, make me happy and that, helps me feel good. So those are things that I like to do that helps me as a part of my self-care routine and that would be considered wellness for me. Also the mental health stigma. So I do a lot of talks about this since I am, primarily talking about mental health. So the mental health stigma, there are a lot of things that we can do. First of all, we can educate ourselves about mental health and mental illness. We can realize that it's it's something that is a normal thing for people. It's not where, we need to make a person feel like, they're an alien or something if they're having any type of mental health issues. We need to normalize it in the sense of accepting it, to where we need to let people know that if they have a problem, it's okay for you to get help. Make sure you get help. Be there to listen. If you know someone who's struggling with mental illness, then make sure you talk to that person. Make sure you reach out to them and see what level of care they need. If just talking to someone helps, then that's great. If they need to talk to someone else, you can advise them to talk to a minister or talk to a counselor or a therapist, or whoever they can, so that they can make sure that they get the help that they need. There are a lot of people who are suffering in silence. The suicide rate is off the charts. It grieves me to see so many people, even as young as 6 years old, taking their lives because they have been suffering, because they've been bullied, because they've been going through things, they've been depressed, and they haven't talked to anyone about it, and they haven't wanted to tell anyone. And some of the reasons why they don't tell anyone is because of the stigma, because fear of judgment, fear of no one listening, fear of no one caring, fear of no one understanding. So if we educate ourselves and we learn that we need to be there for people, learn some of the signs and symptoms so that we can know what to look for, so that we can be able to help and reach out to those people who are in need. And if you are a person in need, just know that you can reach out to someone. Don't be ashamed. It's nothing to be ashamed of. We all fall short. We all have our issues. We all have our struggles. And it's okay for you to have your struggles as well. So reach out to someone. If you need to talk, call the suicide line. There's a number for the suicide hotline that you can call. There's support groups. There are free services that you can get. You would just look up the ones that are in your county, or even the ones that are online that you can reach out to as well, where you can be able to get the help that you need and talk to someone free of charge. Just reach out to someone. And I just want to, leave you with these final words. If you are suffering, if you're going through any depression, anxiety, or any other feelings that you're, feeling some type of way and you feel like you need help, I just want you to understand that it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay that way. Make sure you get the help that you need, because you're worth it. You were fearfully and wonderfully made, and you can get the help that you need without feeling any guilt or any type of way about it, because you're worth it. Thank you.
Awesome. Wow. Joy, it's been a fantastic, phenomenal, amazing, over the top time with you. And we so appreciate you for coming
Thank you.
on
Thank you.
Happy Fear Friday, the guest spotlight. And we know God is doing some major things with your platform. And we appreciate all that you do, and just continue on God's great work, because this is ministry. This is your ministry. And we definitely want to let people know how to contact you. So I know we have your email here. Is that the correct email?
Yes, yes. If you need to email me, you can go to thejoycoach247@gmail.com. And then if you want to book me for, I am a speaker. I also host events. So if you need a host, or if you need a speaker, if you need a life coach, a mental health coach, I do it all. You can also go to my website and book me on there as well at thejoyallen.com. And that's thejoyallen.com. And I also have an inspirational line that I just started as well. And I'm wearing one of the items here.
Yes, I was just going to tell everyone to check out your merch.
Yeah, so it's the God
Yes.
for me. And so I also have the mugs as well. It's the God for me. So I don't know if you see that. So, and I have, different things on the website. So if you go there, you go to the top and click on shop. Well, actually, yeah, that's the store itself, the joyallencollection.company.site. So if you go there, then you'll be able to, see all the products that I have. And I will be adding more products as well. And I also have 3 best-selling books that are available as well on my website as well. So if you want personalized copies, you can just email me or DM me as well, and you'll be able to obtain those copies also.
Now, what about we understand that you have a journal that's soon to come out, and I know you're still working on it. So
Um,
just a few seconds. What can we expect from your journal?
Well, yeah. So what I'm gonna do, and I actually put together a little sneak peek. So it's gonna be a little, sneak peek of that. I did, get with my designer, who the lovely, she's my leadership coach and my web designer. She's just phenomenal. She does everything. That woman, superwoman, Shonda Howerton. So she helped me put together my store and my website. And so we also got an ebook on my website as well of self-care. So that is available on my website. So if you go there, you will be able to, get the ebook. Also, I am going to be coming out with a journal. For that, it will be just a lot of tips and guidance on how you can maintain, your mental health through self-care. So I will go into a little bit more than tips. I will offer a lot of tips, and I'll also, just kind of give you some of the journey that I went through as well, and some of the things that I did personally. And then it will also be where you can, write down some of the things that you're experiencing. So it will be a, full-fledged journal where I'm sharing tips and pointers, and also allowing you to put your input in there, as well as to some of the things that you're experiencing, so that you can actually be able to work out some of the things that you're dealing with in your life as well. So that will be coming up in the next couple of months. So just be on the lookout for that.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, again, if you want to book Joy for an event that you have, or you would like to get on board with her coaching services, you can reach her at the joycoach247@gmail.com. And we have her 3 books there up there. So, you can get them on her website, and get her merch or t-shirts or mugs, all of that. All right. So again, Joy, we are super excited to have you. We so appreciate you. And that's it for now. So thank you, everyone. And shout out, we did not mean to overlook Summer. Summer, thank
Oh,
you for
cousin Summer. Hi,
joining.
Summer. My
Blessings
cousin
to you.
too.
We so appreciate you. And then also we have the woman of God, Chantel Ellis. Yes, thank you so much for coming on. And again, we are so appreciative for you coming on, Joy Coach, to just give us some real insight on what it is to take care of ourselves and practice that wellness. Okay, so we love you and we appreciate you. Stay on with us, Miss Joy. And everyone else, we will talk with you soon. Remember, you can do that thing that God has specifically designed you to do. You can do it. You can do it, Tawana. You can do it, Summer. You can do it, Joyce. You can do it, Chantel. You can do it, Shonda. And anyone else that will catch the replay, you have been born for such a time as this. This is your set time to shine. And why not optimize your health, practice wellness while doing it? Okay, we love you, and we'll talk with you soon.